Hey everyone, and welcome to the podcast Work to Earn. Here we talk with people from Web3 world about their career path. This podcast is our way to enroll the Web3, so we are building an HR tech startup Humans, and it's a platform where pros recommend other pros and get paid for it. So my name is Fedor and I'm CMO at Humans, and this podcast we record with our guest Valeriya. She's responsible for partnership and communications at 1inch. It's one of the biggest decentralized exchange. Before 1inch, Valeriya worked for Kik ecosystem and hosted CryptoSpace conference in Berlin. So let's go to the episode. Hey Valeriya, glad to hear you in our podcast.
Hey, Ferger, thank you so much for having me. I'm glad to speak to you.
So Valeriya, how was your morning? How was your morning starts today?
Well, now is the afternoon already. I'm in South Korea for the business trip.
Yeah.
The morning, I skipped part of the morning mostly because of the jet lag, but then I had a few meetings after the event. We met with a few partners of ours here in Korea. We're also making a big partnership with one of the largest blockchains here, Clayton. So we had a meeting with them.
Wow,
So
sounds
just
great.
regular meetings, and then here we are in the afternoon already.
Do you have lots of business trips during the year?
Yes, this last year has been very fruitful in terms of conferences and events all around the world, Europe, US, Asia. I think I've taken the most flights in my life just for this last year. It's very exciting. I've made an amazing network, and I think as a company as well, we've managed to secure some of our best partnerships through meeting people. So definitely this year has been a lot of conferences, and they were really fun. I think everyone's is enjoying the normal time again after the COVID has hit all of us. Yeah, so definitely a lot.
Sounds very interesting because I think that for Web3 community, it's very important to have such a lot face-to-face meetings and also events. So it's very interesting. By the way, you are communication and partnership manager at 1inch. What does it mean? What are your day-to-day tasks?
Yes, so when people ask me about my role, I like to say that my job is to talk to people, which is pretty much correct. Like day to
So
day,
you're now on work.
yeah. But work is fun because I enjoy communication, and I guess that's one of my strengths. So it's not much effort for me, and I always like to improve and learn more on how I can become a better negotiator. So basically, day-to-day task would be scheduling meetings with our partners, keeping up with some of the ongoing conversations that we're having, because some partnerships are like they're short term, like you talk, you do something, and then it's over. But then some conversations, they have a longer life cycle, I would say. So they could take a few months of various meetings, Zoom calls, and then you close them. So yeah, day-to-day task would be Zooming people from all over the world. Also, live meetings when I'm at events. I schedule meetings prior to when I come to a certain country. That's mostly it. My focus is investor relations right now. So I manage all of our communications with investors at 1inch. As you know, we've closed 3 rounds already. Our Series B was for 175 million. So that's a lot of capital.
Congratulations on it.
Thank you. That's a lot of capital to manage, and we have to keep up, let's say, regular catch-ups and update our stakeholders on the progress. And thank God we're doing well, so I don't have to have any difficult conversations.
And how many meetings a day do you have?
Well, it varies. When I first joined the project, I was the second kind of BD partnership person. And definitely I've had a lot more to handle. And I would have between maybe 5 to 8 meetings per day. And they would all be like throughout the day. So not one by one, but maybe one in the morning, then one at 11 p.m. at night. Um, Now it has become a little bit better in terms of maybe a bit less meetings, but more high quality meetings. So I focus on, let's say, our tier one partners, and we managed to successfully partner up with a lot of projects for the last, 2.5, nearly 3 years. So now we're focusing on, let's say, the big deals, and it's definitely taking longer, but I'm also not very involved with just random partnerships anymore.
You mentioned that you are focused on investor relations meeting. Can you please tell a little bit more about this communication, about the specific of this communication? How is it different from regular PR meetings with the media, with the partners, with other people?
Well, I guess there wouldn't be a lot of difference because doesn't matter if it's a venture company or a media, it's still a person that you're talking to. They just want to know different information from you. So for our investor communication, we prepare monthly reports where I involve analytics.
So you prepare them?
Yes, I prepare them. And with the help of our analytics team. So I request certain data that I need to know. Let's say how many users have we gained, what's the volume on a certain chain, and then we would gather all this under one report. And then some investors like to go over these reports, let's say on Zoom, and I would be the one just telling them how we're doing and updating them on traction, sharing some future plans, our strategy. Also, investors are very helpful in terms of introductions that we can gain further. And I collect various inbound from our team members if they need to meet certain parties, or even in hiring, investors could help. So we gather all this information, and then we would reach out to them and ask for help. So they serve this. So not only we communicate to them, but they also communicate back to us, and we try to extract value out of our partnership as well.
What was your previous work experience? What have you done before entering Web3?
Before Web3, I was in crypto as well. So straight after.
Oh, really?
Yeah, it wasn't called Web3 before, but like regular crypto projects.
Yeah.
Now they're like Web2 crypto. But I used to work and consult some centralized exchanges. Back in the day, I started my career in 2016. I was still in university, and crypto just became this go-to thing for me at the time. And then I couldn't do anything but enter the space and start building my career. It was very unknown, and I just had this curiosity of learning more and understanding how this new technology works. It was, and it's still very exciting with all the new developments in the space. I cannot imagine a day without like reading what's happening, because you can wake up and a new concept, like a new term, comes in. We didn't have DeFi before, there were no NFTs. It's so fast and evolving, the space, that your mind is always active. And even being full time, you're not always up to speed because there's just so much, and every day it becomes even more populated with various projects entering. But also it's fun. You don't get stuck in one place. So yeah, talking about my previous experience, it was straight in crypto. So I'm like a crypto pensioner, probably. But yeah, I don't regret. I'm very excited to what I have achieved as well in the space, and I want to keep growing in the space further.
When have you entered 1inch?
Just under 2 years ago, I think, or like 1 year and 8 months, something like this. Yeah, so I joined the team when they had around 30 or 35-ish people, and now we have over 100 or 110. Sometimes I even don't know because we have
Wow, it's quite rapid growth.
yeah, we have a lot of people on the outsource as well, and once it grows to size, you no longer recognize every single team member. So yeah, it definitely has been an exploding growth for 1inch in the last 2 years. Yeah, I'm very happy to be part of the team and be part of this amazing achievement.
And how can you describe in a few words 1inch culture?
Very fun, open-minded, rewarding. Yeah, our culture is pretty great. I would say we all work remotely, so we don't have a central base or like a central office where we would see our team members. And I guess this style of new type of work suits a lot of people, and we mostly meet online through Zoom, through meetings, but also our company organizes some regular team meetups for us around the world. Me, because I'm part of the partnerships team, I guess we meet more often than other team members because we just travel the world, attend events all together, and that's where we meet. But we also have like a regular annual event where we bring all the team members together, and that's like a week or 10 days where we could work and rest together. That's pretty great. And hopefully this year we'll do it again. Last year we all met in Turkey for like a week, and it was really cool meeting everyone. But overall, I think our culture is extremely open. Everyone is innovative and open to like ideas of other people. We all like to listen to each other and take considerations, so nobody is right or wrong. We don't have a certain like a dominant figure in the company that would just rule the world. It's more like a new decentralized distributed culture between various contributors and participants, which makes it really fun to be part in. Yeah, everyone is very supportive. And when I first joined, I had a few weeks just to learn and play around with the protocol, understand how DeFi works, and the team would support me in any questions I had. They would teach me, explain some terms, even transfer me some Ethereum so I don't have to spend my own money on gas costs, so I could just play around with various features and understand the depths. Yeah.
What do you think helps to build this very healthy corporate culture? Maybe great onboarding process, maybe I don't know, great hiring process, maybe some culture rules or something like that.
Well, to me, culture is the people, is the team who you work with, and if you find all of your team members supportive and understanding, then that's definitely very helpful in terms of formulating the strategy. Like you could do so many things, but if people are just not helping you or doing anything, then it would not work. We don't have any specific, let's say, rules, but everyone is just getting along intuitively, I guess, and we continue to attract these types of people in our company. Definitely onboarding is important. Also, people play a big role here by helping explain you certain terms, giving you time to process and get to understand what the company is doing. You have everything. Just need to ask, really. In the Web3 space, the whole benefit is, as I mentioned before, there is no right or wrong. Nobody knows what should be done exactly. So you could improvise in a lot of the areas and just make them better and better and continue to make them better.
In my opinion, for Web3, 100 plus people is already quite large company. So in Web3, there are lots of startups less than maybe 20 people. Do you feel that 1inch is still a startup?
Not anymore. We have definitely changed how we work for the last year, and since we expanded and grew our contributor base. So when we talk about 20-ish people company, that's where you learn to do like a lot of things, and you can become expert in pretty much anything.
It's our current stage
Yeah,
now.
from you learn to do, if you're in marketing, let's say, you learn how to do PR, like social media, even HR. So you become
Yeah.
like this very rounded expert. And then when the company grows, you start to specialize a bit more. Also, you start to have some structure because initially startups, they're like usually very unstructured. So people just come as a group and try to do things. But certainly when you have more people, you need to manage them, you need to manage what you're doing. And that's when you start implementing various tools, and that varies from company to company. Like in BD, you could have Salesforce, Copper, or even a good old Excel file with everything that's happening and the current progress on things. But it becomes really important for everybody really to not overlap and not do like two tasks that are similar. So it's like it adds transparency as well to what everybody is up to, and also saves time. It's more efficient. So I believe now we have this structure. Most of the teams we are split by various departments, so like marketing, HR, partnerships, business development, then back end, front end development, Solidity, app development. So we're split into various small teams, and that's how we operate. And then each team would have their own, let's say, task manager or solution, and then team leaders would report to the senior management, like our founders and chief operating officers, etc. So yeah, you definitely start to have structure, and we do have structure. So 1inch is no longer like a hell startup atmosphere. You start to
Yeah.
prioritize things. You start to focus on things. But certainly we were a startup before, and it has changed with the number of people that we employ.
By the way, how many people are in your current team, in PR team?
I'm currently in the partnerships team, so that's like business development, and we
Yeah.
have
Oh, so it's different.
yes,
I see.
yes. In my team there are um, 4 members, and we have one senior member that's also overlooking some other departments. So 4 full-time members.
Do you have any experience of hiring people by yourself?
Yes. So my hiring would come from previous experience, so the people I used to work with before. And whenever there is a position that is hot or like a space frees up, I could recommend somebody who I enjoyed working with, and I know they're efficient. So I can really count on them and not. Yeah, so basically, if I recommend them, it's my fault if they're good or if they're not. So I take this very serious, and I only would recommend people who are like very productive, efficient, and like what they do. Yes, and like for me, it comes from like previous experience. That's how I would recommend some people. Some are employed already in 1inch. Of course, they would go through the same process as anybody else. So conversations with HR, then conversations with the founders of the project. So it's no different a recommendation than a regular hiring.
Talking about your teammates, your team members, what kind of experience are you looking when you are working with them? What kind of experience do you need when you are working with them? Do you need them to be experienced in Web3, or it doesn't matter in your role?
Mm-hmm. The hiring process has definitely changed throughout the years, and it became more difficult to enter the space. So, a lot of the companies are now looking for people who have some experience, and that's not a lot of people. Like in 2016, 17, when I first joined, it was much easier to get a job. If you knew what blockchain is, that would be enough to kind of gain the position. But now the standards have really lifted up, I would say, and a lot of the companies are looking at previous success cases and experience. Yes, a lot of them also come from recommendation. Like I could recommend some people I worked with before, so can any other team member. We look at previous achievements. I guess people coming from Web 2 is also very interesting as they bring new, fresh look and experience. So we don't only hire people from Web3 or crypto, but especially for companies like us, which is no longer a startup, now we require, let's say, some corporate structure and management, and only people in Web2 know how to do it because people in Web3 are usually they are startup people that have no experience in managing larger teams, larger corporations, larger businesses. So definitely when the startup starts to grow, it's important to bring some people from traditional spaces that have worked in these departments and help us scale even more, because in terms of like the structure, it's no different to any other organization.
And how deep are you involved in some technology of 1inch? How deep do you understand the technological aspect of the process?
Yeah, mechanics. I guess me myself, I understand most things really well on like the concept level, and as a user level, I would say I'm a Web3 degen. So I know how to farm, I know how to stake and everything. It's also important in conversations. So I guess like business development, partnership department need to understand technology more than let's say marketing people or PR people, because a lot of the conversations are around technical aspects like API integrations. We need to understand how it works and explain this technology to other companies in order to achieve the integration. And if partners have various technical questions, then you could arrange a call with the technical team to help them clarify.
How long did it take for you to understand all this concepts, all the process?
So what was really helpful in understanding is actually experimenting with the DApp and doing all of the things that it allows you to do. So swapping, staking, voting in the DAO, making some proposals. So actually, I would recommend like click as many buttons as you can on a certain protocol and see where it takes you. That's the best way to figure out what's happening. In terms of some other more deep tech like APIs and integrations, it's a bit more complex, but also for the first, let's say, couple of months, you could just memorize how it works and then present it to whoever you need to. And then if they have some other questions, you answer them in writing or with the help of the technical team. So you could just kind of memorize the concept without having to really understand how it works. And then slowly you start to grasp things. I would say around, well, 2 months maybe is sufficient to understand how the basic things work.
2 months seems like a very, very small period.
I guess for people who are interested and can spend a couple of hours per day doing this, that's definitely enough time. So don't need to be scared of a long understanding process. It just seems like very long and confusing, but when you start actually doing things, and as I said, the company can even provide you with funds, so you don't have to spend, let's say, gas on Ethereum. It's fun, and a lot of the dApps in Web3, I think they're targeting like Gen Z and Gen Y, so they're really fun to play around.
I want to talk a little bit with you about salaries. There are lots of myths, or maybe not myths, about Web3 salaries. So the question I want to ask you, do you think that you are overpaid just because of the Web3 sphere?
In my opinion, not. We're not overpaid because of Web3 sphere, but I would say it's on a high level as some of the most famous Web2 companies like Google or Amazon or like Netflix. Yes, so these types of, let's say, big and famous companies that have high salaries, I guess it's like the similar benchmark to Web3. Perhaps developers, because they're so rare to find, they get very well compensated, especially like Solidity, so smart contract developments. There's a lot of opportunities. A lot of the companies, they offer tokens, and you could compare them to, let's say, original shares to what Amazon or Facebook or Google can offer. This is the most exciting part, I would say, because the startup can easily become a unicorn, and there's a huge opportunity that you be a part of it, because it's such a new space, and a lot of the companies are becoming unicorns like every week, every month. So it's a very high chance that you end up in a startup that then becomes the next Google, and you'll have a very good stake in terms of tokens. People make millions of dollars just on stakes, and of course you cannot compare it to any salary, and no Web2 company can offer such a salary. And again, many people, they become free because they took this chance. They were not afraid to learn new terms, and it's really not that hard. But you put yourself ahead of others, and going with innovation, it's definitely really exciting.
By the way, talking about the compensation structure, do you have any salaries paid in crypto in 1inch, and what is the compensation structure of the salary? So it's a part of some tokens, part of maybe fiat, or not?
Yes, sure. So the compensation structures are like individually negotiated. from what I see, we have some structures that are, let's say, 50% fiat, 50% crypto. A lot of the people actually prefer just receiving crypto, including myself, because crypto became like the first money that I know how to use, and it's much more intuitive for me than even having to deal with a bank. So for me, I take 100% compensation in crypto.
In
Some
stable
people,
coins. Yep.
yeah, in stable coins. Mostly. Some people prefer fiat, but I guess that because they have some, let's say, real commitments like the mortgage or something or credit, that's where you need it. But crypto is definitely much easier, faster, and in my opinion, safer in the current environment where, yeah, fiat is. Keeps decreasing in price.
In crypto, lots of people become some part of a company and might even involve on some decisions in the company because they have tokens. Do you have such system in 1inch? Do you give your staff any tokens?
Yes, so every team member is entitled to a certain percentage of the company, and it's a very regular structure, just like with any other, let's say, traditional Web2 shares, where you have 1 year period of vesting, like time to prove
Yeah.
yourself that you deserve the shares, and then over 4 years of time, they would unlock in like in certain chunks. Usually it's 6 months, so the structure is very similar to regular shares. And that's for every employee to incentivize him or her to be part of this team, to grow, to develop, and it works really well. I guess it's keeping everybody together. You have a very good incentive to just work on what you're doing and not look for other places. So in terms of hiring, that's definitely a thing to have for companies. Not every company has a token or a share, so definitely some bonus that you could anticipate at a certain period of your work is necessary. But yeah, in at 1inch, every team member has some tokens, and in terms of actually using these tokens for like voting across systems, you could do that. There's no obligation. We have a DAO that has certain proposals for the protocol. You could use your tokens if you want to vote, like for or against the decision. So it's up to you, like whether you want to be an active participant of the protocol itself, or you just want to, let's say, stay on the back end and just do your thing.
And can you sell these tokens or not?
Yeah, you could do whatever you want, and it's individual decision. So you take your own responsibility for your money, basically.
Mhm.
Some people like to hold because there is a lot of growth space in the future, and the space is very new. So,
Yeah.
but yeah, if you need urgent cash, let's say, of course you could sell. So there are no set rules or anything. Your keys, your money, as we like to say in the space. You could also, if you're very active in the space, you could vote on other protocols, for example, and help help the industry navigate itself.
Valeria, we talked a lot about hiring, but now the rest of the market is laying off. So there are lots of layoffs, and you keep hiring, yeah? Can you tell a little bit more about how it goes?
Yes, that's correct. So for us, we are not very affected by the market since the protocol is actually profitable, and when the market is volatile, so when things go up or they go down, it doesn't matter for us because like the market is active. So we're not losing any assets, and it's actually we're collecting more and more money in the treasury. So we keep hiring,
Yeah.
of course, and we're not affected like some big companies like Coinbase. They recently announced their stop hiring plan until some time, but I guess that happened because they overhired at one point. So they just hired people because they wanted to hire people, not because there was a certain need for it. Definitely, when it happens, you hit a point where like you have very high costs for everything and might not be making as much money. But when the role you need this person, there's a role, for sure, this person will contribute to your development and you'll become bigger, more profitable, and it's a very good investment, actually. We're not over hiring and not growing like to thousands of people just because we can. We do it step by step as various roles and like responsibilities come up. Yeah, I guess the time right now is a bit more difficult for smaller startups that did not manage to get funding in time, because definitely it's easier when the market is up and everybody is excited and they're ready to lay their capital everywhere. So I don't think it has really affected, let's say, companies who have funding. They just keep building and developing what they do. And always the bear market is also a very good time to kind of slow down, reflect on things, and really organize how you're going to go forward. So like CZ from Binance said, it's a very good time to build your fundamentals. And I completely agree that companies should actually like hire people during the bear market for certain roles, of course. Yeah, think about the structure, think about next steps, and they're definitely going to win.
If we started talking about trends, CZ from Binance also mentioned that DeFi's become more popular than centralized FIs. So do you agree with him? Do you think that DeFi's now are more popular than CFIs, or become more popular?
I definitely agree, and we are actually seeing this trend in numbers. So there's a lot of volumes that pass through DeFi, and it just continues to grow. So the numbers speak for themselves. It's not my opinion; it's what is actually happening on the market. And DeFi, there is still a lot of potential to grow with replacing all the traditional finance services and making it much easier. And I think a lot of the people in crypto, they are partly rebellious at heart. And so the concept of DeFi really intrigues everyone around the world by this whole freedom idea and being able to control your money, do what you want with your money. It is always yours. You're responsible. You like your own bank. This concept, I guess, awakened many people that they no longer need to trust a third party with their funds management, and people seem to like it. So DeFi is definitely to grow, and especially if we take all the current events around the world, it became so unpredictable of what could happen next. So one day you could end up in the red zone and suddenly you're blocked and left with no money. So people are becoming aware of how like liable they are to the governments, to whoever up there. And they want to protect themselves, which totally makes sense. You don't want to end up with nothing just because of your nationality or your skin color or whatever. And yeah, DeFi is solving this. So people are, even though it's a little bit more complex, people like try to learn it. Even my mom now, she uses crypto because it
Wow.
became a necessity. So for some people, it became a necessity to start using alternative source of funds to continue to live, basically. I definitely think this industry will continue to grow, and more financial tools will become available in DeFi. So everything we do with regular banking will like move to technology. So technology will be the regulator between people, and like to me, it's more exciting and more fair. So I'm definitely very keen to see where it's going.
And talking about 1inch, 1inch is not only a network, it's also a foundation. I want to ask you a little bit about grant programs and 1inch foundation. Why foundation needs it?
So the grants program are important in attracting talent around the ecosystem. They incentivize certain growth, and you could use this money to attract people to build certain things. We've already gave quite a lot of grants away, and it's a way of just helping the industry develop. And when projects are self-sustainable, they have funding, they want to help other projects to enter the space. So a lot of people come with ideas and they could get funded. And it's easier than getting funding from a VC. So it's just a way to build, and in an easier way.
Is a grant program an essential part of 1inch marketing strategy?
I wouldn't say it is an essential. Well, partly is because we use it pretty much at all events to attract people to come and join our ecosystem, because of course money incentivizes everyone. So we do use this messaging in a lot of the events around the world, just because it's pretty basic and understandable by all.
Could you tell a little bit about the most exciting product or event that you remember from the Grant Foundation?
I'm not an active contributor to the grants program, so we have a dedicated team that manages all the projects that want to receive grants.
Yeah.
And it's a whole process from just filling up the Google form to then having a call with your team and pitching, presenting what you want to do, to like a final decision and then a grant. From what I remember, it definitely increases a lot of the use cases for us. So we give grants to some projects not even related to DeFi that much, like some metaverse companies that then go and build a 1inch shop inside the metaverse and offer users to swap assets and integrate our API. They create various NFT collections with 1inch. So really, you could get funded for anything that helps bring the brand awareness or create a new use case for 1inch technology. One exciting thing is we funded one guy who is building a hardware wallet and uses 1inch branding for it. So perhaps we could have the next ledger with 1inch branding. And because of the grant, he managed to get a team of 10 people, and it's looking pretty good. We did the small roadshow here in Korea with the actual device. It's very thin. It has different colors, even pink. So some projects are very successful.
Wow, it sounds very interesting. Valeriya, and maybe the last question I want to ask you, I ask this question to all of my guests. Can you tell about your assets? Do you buy NFTs or trade crypto by yourself? And if you do, can you tell in what you believe?
Very good question. Of course, as an active crypto user, I do all these things. I would say I'm less active on the NFTs just because I've seen so many different hypes in the space, and with NFTs, I was very skeptical when this whole thing launched. So I was more an observer to it. But yeah, some people do it, and there are some very famous collections. But now for me, it's too late to enter. Well, maybe not, but I prefer to spend my money on other things right now. But definitely an amazing concept for sure. In terms of assets, yes, I'm all in, all in crypto. Now is good time to buy. Some people say various assets, but also it's quite risky. I've lost a lot in the past because I wasn't experienced with assets on trading, and it's actually a separate kind of full-time job. In order to manage your assets actively, you need to be a good analyst and be able to do a technical and fundamental analysis, which I would say I'm not really good at. So no financial advice here, but generally, like the more capitalization, like the safer the coin considered to be, but still very very risky. So I think I will end my participation here. But yeah, I try to experiment. Sometimes it goes well. Most of the time it doesn't go well, just because sometimes I buy things because of I like the logo, like the unicorn, and yeah, so it's a fun experience, definitely.
Thank you so much, Valeriya, for joining this podcast. It was very interesting to talk with you, and I think it will be very useful for our listeners to learn more about all 1inch stuff, all 1inch your experience. So thank you for sharing it.
Thank you so much further. I hope I was not too boring for your audience. So it was exciting to have this conversation. Thank you once again for having me. I had fun, and hopefully you guys will too.
Thank you. Thank you, humans, for listening to this podcast. We really need your feedback on this episode, so please rate us in the Apple Podcasts and Spotify. And of course, don't forget to follow us on Twitter. So thank you for the listening, and bye.